Hello everyone, welcome back to chapter number 14 of our Azure Cloud series. So in this chapter we are going to explore Azure Big Data and Analytics Services. So I have divided this chapter into two parts, that is part number A and part number B. So in part number A we'll see Azure Synapse Analytics for data warehousing, and in part number B we'll see Azure Databricks. So before we jump into the services, let's first understand what big data and analytics really means. So we'll cover the characteristics of big data, that is the 5 V's, and then we'll look at how Microsoft Azure provides powerful services to handle the process and massive amount of data. So this chapter will be a mix of theory plus demonstration, and trust me, it is going to be the most important topic in our series, because in that we'll learn how big data and analytics services actually works, why we use them, and what happens behind the scenes with some examples. So that's why I have designed this chapter into two parts. Part number A will focus Azure Synapse Analytics, understanding what it is, why to use, and exploring some real-time examples. And in part number B, we'll move Azure Databricks with same approach, first concepts and then practical demo. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the Azure Big Data and Analytics services without wasting any time. So before we dive into the Azure Synapse Analytics and Azure Databricks, let's first understand what big data actually means. So in simple term, big data refers to extremely large and complex data sets that traditional databases or system cannot handle efficiently. Think of data generated every seconds from online shopping, social media platforms, IoT devices, banking transaction, and even healthcare sensors. This continuous flood of information is what we call big data. To better understand, big data is often even explained through the 5 V's, or the key characteristics of big data. That is number one, volume. The massive amount of data being generated, for example, millions of product transactions happening on platform like Amazon. Number two, velocity. The speed at which the data is generated and needs to be processed, often in real time. And number three, variety. Data comes in different forms like structured, unstructured, semi-structured, including images, videos, logs, and many more. Number four, veracity. The reliability of trustworthiness of the data. For example, ensuring the credit card transaction data is accurate to help detect the frauds. And number five, that is the most important aspect, that is value. Data itself is meaningless unless we can extract useful insight and add value to the business. So in short, big data is about storing, processing, analyzing massive, fast moving and deserving data sets to generate meaningful insights. So now, where does this Azure come into the picture? Microsoft Azure provides powerful services to manage and analyze big data, such as Azure Synapse Analytics for data warehousing and reporting, Azure Databricks for large-scale data processing, AI and machine learning, and number three, Azure Data Lake Storage and Power BI for data storage and visualization. That's why Azure plays a key role in handling big data end to end. So in this chapter, we'll focus on the two core services, that is in part A, Azure Synapse Analytics, and number two, Azure Databricks. So we'll go step by step. First, we'll understand the concepts, then we'll look at the real world examples, and finally, we'll move to the hands-on demo. So without wasting time, let's get started with part A, that is Azure Synapse Analytics. So now let's talk about Azure Synapse Analytics. So it is Microsoft's cloud-based data warehousing and analytics platform. But before we dive in, let's imagine with real scenario. So suppose you are a data engineer at a retail company. Every seconds, our company generates tons of data from online orders, in store sales, customer feedback, and even website click. Now what? So now what do you do with all this data? Basically, you can collect that data from different sources like databases, file system, Excel, cloud storage, and many more. Then you can inject those data from transform layer, where you will transform that data. You can clean it, combine it, and format it, reshape it for analysis, so it makes sense for analysis. Then number three, you can save that data in central storage location, and finally we'll serve that data to make it available for reporting tools, dashboards, or analytics or business platform. It sounds like a complicated, right? And if often involves multiple tools, manual steps, and lot of time. So this is where Azure Synapse Analytics comes to the rescue. With Synapse, you can do all these steps in one platform, from data injections to transform, storage, and analysis. So with the help of this, Azure Synapse provides its very powerful feature, that is Azure Synapse Pipelines. It lets you to create visual workflow to move and transform data without writing complex code. Embedding with Apache Spark, it helps us to process large data sets quickly, running advanced analytics and machine learning on that particular data. It also provides Synapse SQL to provide a massive parallel processing engine, which means you can query huge data sets at lightning speed. Everything done, then we can simply integrate with Azure Data Lake Storage to ensure our data is safely stored and easily accessible for reporting tools for analysis purpose. So in our retail example, with Synapse, so you can instantly analyze sale trade, customer performance, or inventory data all in one platform without judging multiple tools or without having multiple tools. In short, Azure Synapse Analytics is the platform as a service that empowers data engineer and data scientists to handle, transform, and analyze massive data set efficiently, helping business make data driven decision faster than ever. So all right, now let's quickly jump to the Azure portal and let's get started with our demonstration. So in this demo, we are going to create the storage account, then we'll set up this Azure Synapse Analytics workspace. Inside this Synapse, we'll upload the simple CSV file containing retail sales data. After that, we'll run some queries on that data and perform a quick retail sales data analysis. So the idea here is to see how easily we can inject query and analyze data using Azure Synapse Analysis service all in one place. So without wasting time, let's get started. So once we log into the Azure portal, then we'll be navigating to this landing page or the Azure dashboard. So where you will see all the services. So in that, before we create the storage account, we have to create the resource group. So let's create first resource group. So in that, once we click the resource group service, so you can search over here, do this resource group, or and click on that resource group. Then we'll be navigating to this page where there is one more option, that create plus button. So once we click on that, we'll be navigating to this create resource group page where we have to define the resource group name. So I'll enter this TA, so Synapse demo, and the region that I'll select, that is Central India. And then let's simply click on review plus create. It is validating the details, and accordingly, once that is done, then let's simply click on create button. And now you can see the resource group is created. Simply we can again go to the home, and let's start by creating this storage account. So let's simply click on the storage account, and we'll again navigate to this new page. If the previously created storage account is present, then that storage account will be listed over here. Otherwise, we have to simply click on this create storage account button. So once we click, then again we'll be navigating to this new window or new page where there are a couple of tabs, that is advanced networking and many more. So we have to so we are doing this for the demo purpose, so we'll mostly do the default setting as is, but all the mandatory settings that we'll add. So in the basic tabs, the subscription that is auto populated, and the resource group that we have just created, then the storage account name, so we'll use TA demo 1. We'll add this TA demo 1 as a storage account name, and the region, that is Central India. Then the preferred storage type, so we'll use this Azure Blob or Azure Data Lake Storage, because in that data lake we'll upload our CSV file, that retail, which have the retail information or retail sales information. So preferred storage type that we'll select, that we have, that is Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2 or Gen 2. And then the performance that we'll use the standard one, and redundancy will use so we are doing this for the demo purpose, so we'll use this LRS, locally redundant storage, which is cheaper than other. So again, and then once that is done, then let's quickly go to the next. In the advanced, we don't need to enable over here anything, but so we have to enable this checkbox. So it is required while creating this Synapse analysis service. So it will automatically populate the names for this data lake storage while creating this service. Then again, we don't need to enter other things over here. So let's simply click on review plus create, and it will validating the details that we enter. You can see the validation is in progress. Once the validation is done, then we have to click on create, and then storage account will getting created. So the validation is done. You can see the subscription that pay as you go is populated, resource group that we selected, region, storage name, then the preferred storage type, performance, and all the details that we selected. So now let's simply click on create. So it is starting the initializing the deployment. You can see on the right corner submitting the deployment. Deployment is in progress, and you can see the current status of the deployment while creating the storage account. So now storage account is successfully created. Again, let's go to the resource. Then once we click, then we'll be navigating to this overview page of the storage account where we will get all the details. So now we have to create this data storage. So for that, in the side menu, we have to search for the containers, and we have to create one more container. So for that, we have to again click on this plus add container button, and then in that we have to give the name. So I'll give TA retail data, and the access label that will use private anonymous access, and then simply click on create. Now the container is getting created. So let's simply click on this TA retail data, and in that we have to upload one CSV file. So I have created one CSV file where I have added a retail data, say retail sales data. So we'll just upload that CSV file over here. So simply let's click on this upload button, and then you can either do drag and drop or simply browse the files. And I have created this retail CSV file, and simply click on upload. That CSV file is getting uploaded. So now it's time for creating this Azure Synapse workspace. So again, we have to go to and we have to search this Azure Synapse Analytics, and then let's click on this Azure Synapse Analytics. And so here we will navigating to this new page. Again, we have to follow the same process to create this service. So let's simply click on plus create button. Then we'll be navigating to the new window. Here we have to fill some basic details, that basic and security, which is mandatory. So simply the subscription is again auto populated. The resource group that we have to select, that is TS Snap demo that we have created. Then we don't need to fill this managed resource group. So we have to enter this workspace name. So we'll give this TA Synapse demo. It is validating the details that or the name that we entered. And once this, now you can see the validation is done, and you can see on the right corner there is a green tick appeared on the screen. Then we have to select the region that we already selected, that is Central India. Then select the data lake storage for Gen 2 that we will use from the subscription that we have already created from the storage account, and the account type. So we'll use this TA demo one. So if you remember, while creating the storage account advanced tab, we have selected this checkbox. So due to this TA demo is getting added over here. The file system is auto populated. Let's simply click on next, that is security tab. Here we have to add the SQL administrator for login using username and password. So we have to set the username. So the username, that is SQL admin user, that we have to set the password. So values, then set the confirm password. And once the username and password is done, then we don't need to fill any other details. So let's simply click on review plus create. So it is validating the details again, and once that is done, then to click on this create button. So once that is done, then it is started the creating this service, initializing deployment. You can see on the right corner, now submitting the deployment, and once now you can see the current status of the deployment, it is in progress. So the deployment is completed. So let's simply click on go to resource. Service is getting created. So you can, once we click, then we'll be navigating to this overview page where we'll see this storage account and the Synapse workspace. So let's simply click on this created Synapse service or workspace. Then we'll be navigating to again the detail page of this created Synapse workspace, and in that we'll see the resource group, status, the location, and all the required detail. Again, we have to simply click on this open Synapse Studio. So once we click on this open Synapse Studio, then we'll be navigating to this Synapse window or landing page of this studio. Then we have to go to this integrate, and in that we have to create the pipeline. So Once the pipeline is not, I have just created this pipeline, but if you are not created, then you can simply click on create pipeline, and then it will be open this window. And in that, first we have to copy this data that from the CSV file, so we can just drag and drop this copy data. And once that it's added, then you have to do this source. In that, so we have to link the source and sync the data with that CSV file and map the column name. So we have to just select the source, and then in that, from the data lake storage, we have to select this CSV file as a default format, and then let's do continue, and then service linked services that we have to map, and then the file path that we have already uploaded that as a CSV file in the container. And once that is done, then I can go to the sync and follow the same process. So let's click on this plus and do this Synapse Analytics, and once that is selected, then again link the services so that we have created, and accordingly you can set the SQL pools or create a table will be mapped over here. And once the table is selected, then you can simply click on OK. And once everything is done, then you can simply map those schema, import this schema and map the columns automatically. And once everything is done, then you can simply validate the pipeline. So it triggers the status, and once everything is success, then you can simply go to data, and then again go to the retail, open the new SQL, run this query, so it will automatically fetch the data, or the data that we uploaded in the CSV file, that the order ID, customer names, the products, quantity, price, and region. We can quickly go to this CSV file one more time. You can see that we have added this CSV file to the container, that all the columns are getting mapped. So in that, I added some queries like select product with the sum, quantity, and price, and find out the total sales. So we'll just do the execute the command, and it will return the product list along with the total sale that happens for the keyboard, laptop, mouse. So you can play around with these queries and find out the final results using a Synapse Analytics service in Azure. More time, let's do the query with these regions, and you can see the total sales in the East region, West region, and North region that it's getting retrieved. So in this way, you can create your Azure Synapse Analytics service and use it to inject, transform, and analyze data. You can simply run the queries, build the pipelines, and sync tables, and then visualize or integrate the data with different reporting tools. Azure Synapse make it easy to manage your data workflow all in one place, from injection to analyze. So if you found this video very helpful, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you. And in the next part, that is part B of chapter number 14, we'll dive into the Azure Databricks, just like here, that we will first understand the concept and then we'll follow the hands-on demonstration. So stay tuned. Until then, have a great day.